Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to Day 2 of the Singapore Maritime Week 2026 conference. My name is Song Kiet, and it is my honor to be your MC for today's proceedings. I'm a Maritime Youth Ambassador and currently working at Seatram as an engineer. As someone just beginning my journey in this industry, I realize that this is a sector that is both incredibly exciting and deeply complex, from navigating geopolitical shifts and supply chain pressures to advancing digital transformation and decarbonization. There is so much going on. And that is what makes Singapore Maritime Week so meaningful. Celebrating its 20th edition this year, we are reminded of how SMW has grown in scale and influence to be the platform that brings the global community together to exchange ideas, tackle these challenges, and shapes what comes next. Yesterday's conference program set the tone powerfully. We heard diverse perspectives on how the industry is responding to geopolitical developments, managing supply chain disruptions, and embracing opportunities in integrated supply chain and logistics, digitalizations, while addressing growing cyber risks. Today, we build on that momentum, turning our focus to examine the forces reshaping maritime trade, the global workforce, and explore the strategic decisions that will define the industry's next phase. It is now my pleasure to invite Mr. Murali Pillai, Senior Minister of State for Law and Transport, to deliver the opening address. A brief overview of Mr. Murali's speech will also be available via the QR code on the screen. Without further ado, Mr. Murali, please.
Thank you, Song Kiet. It's really a pleasure to see our scholars, MPA scholars, really taking the responsibility in a number of roles, including being the MC for today's event. I'll make a few prefatory remarks before I start my speech. I just wanted to say that having looked at my speech, and I'll be honest, it's quite heavy. And it may tempt some of you to have your second cup of coffee sooner rather than later. So to assist you, I've asked my colleagues to share with you a QR code that will give you access to a mind map of sorts so that you know broadly what I'm going to say and the announcements that I'll be making. But I'm told that at least the research community in this audience will be pretty interested. So for them, here goes. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Day 2 of the Singapore Maritime Week. This year's SMW happens amidst tumultuous times, a time of conflict and great uncertainty. We were reminded yesterday that the global order is increasingly complex and fragile. But this is also a time for cooperation and meeting of minds. Maritime hubs like Singapore can contribute to upholding the institutions that underwrite such partnerships. A greater challenge, however, lies ahead. Within the emotional intensity of current geopolitical challenges, there are complexities and wickedness. It is natural for long-term environmental, technological, and social trends to become less salient. But these trends are inexorable, vital to our way of life, and we must resolve not to lose sight of them as they define the sector's future. 3 of these structural changes are the focus of today's conference. First, decarbonization. We must together stop the negative spillovers from our economic activities. We often speak of decarbonization in terms of resource sustainability and business resilience. But it's not merely a bottom line consideration. Decarbonization is about ensuring our planetary health and our people's continued ability to flourish. Climate change may have taken a back seat to geopolitical contests, but today, with the increasing volatility of energy markets, there is greater impetus and urgency for decarbonization. Second, digitalization. The maritime industry is undergoing a quiet but undeniable revolution. Technological advancements such as autonomous technology and artificial intelligence are changing port and vessel operations. This digital transformation is not just about efficiency. It's making maritime operations safer, smarter, and more sustainable. Lastly, people. As the industry transforms, the maritime workforce must be equipped with new skill sets to seize emerging opportunities. This keeps us relevant and adaptable in an unpredictable environment. Singapore is paying deep attention to these three areas. Decarbonization is driving a transformation of the sector, reshaping fuels, vessels, as well as port infrastructure. Singapore is preparing our port for a multi-fuel future. First, standards. Given the unique challenges and risks posed by alternative fuels, we are developing robust operational standards to guide their deployment. Operational standards set out safety protocols, guidelines for crew training, and regulations on the safe handling of alternative fuels. By coordinating efforts across stakeholders, including ship owners, ports, and fuel suppliers, we can accelerate our collective shift towards cleaner marine fuels. Over the past 3 years, the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore, MPA, has conducted extensive safety studies and fuel trials to inform the standards we are developing. This includes 2 for ammonia and 4 for methanol. Last year, we published the technical reference on methanol bunkering. We are currently developing Singapore's first technical reference for ammonia bunkering and will share more details subsequently. Developing technical standards is a journey which is better taken together. So, to share and deepen expertise in deploying alternative fuels, Singapore has collaborated closely with international partners, and we are indebted to them. 3 years ago, we established the Green and Digital Shipping Corridor with the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. This partnership facilitated knowledge exchange and joint studies, including support for the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, as they commissioned a clean fuel study, as well as collaborations on pilots of data-enabled processes to facilitate vessel clearance. I'm pleased to announce that we are extending this partnership with the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach for another 3 years. Second, within our port waters, Singapore is also focusing on decarbonizing vessels, starting with the harbour craft sector. In the Port of Singapore, 1,600 harbour craft perform a range of essential marine services such as bunkering, towage, ship supplies, and crew transfers. In 2023, Singapore announced the requirement for all new harbour craft operating in our port waters to be fully electric, capable of using B100 biofuel, or compatible with net zero fuels. Since then, we have been preparing the sector for this transition. Biofuel is largely mature as a near-term decarbonization pathway and already commercially available. To support its use, MPA published a technical reference in May 2025. The Singapore government is also partnering local institutes of higher learning to study the use of B100 marine biofuel on larger harborcraft with higher power or longer range requirements like tankers and tugboats. The findings will be released following ongoing trials. Electrification is showing strong potential, particularly for harborcraft engaged in passenger and ship supply services. However, the adoption of electric harborcraft is still in its early phases. We recognize that infrastructural provisions are necessary for this technology to gain traction. That is why MPA facilitated the deployment of Singapore's first public charger pilot at Marina South Pier in 2024. Building on this foundation, we are developing an electric harborcraft charging infrastructure plan based on detailed studies of the routes and needs of crew transfer and cargo supply vessels. In the coming years, we intend to deploy chargers at key terminals and piers such as Marina South Pier, West Coast Pier, and within the Western Industrial Area. By 2030, we aim to expand the network of public chargers across Singapore's southern coastline. We will also trial the use of battery-powered charging solutions to provide greater flexibility for harborcraft operations. We understand that there are challenges remaining, including the high upfront costs of electric harborcraft. This is why we have been working closely with the industry to study how to bridge this gap. MPA and our local shipping associations convened the Harborcraft Decarbonization Task Force in October last year, and the task force has just concluded its work. The Singapore government looks forward to receiving the recommendations and will study them thoroughly. The task force exemplifies our commitment to partnering the industry throughout the decarbonization process. We will ensure that this transition is not just beneficial for the environment, but also economically practicable for operators. Another driving force transforming the maritime industry is digitalization. We have already invested significantly in port automation capabilities and solutions in pursuit of our vision of a fully automated port. For phase 1 of Tuas Port development, we deployed driverless automated guided vehicles and automated quay cranes. These technologies boosted our operating efficiency, manpower productivity, and safety. The Maritime Technology and Research Roadmap that Minister Jeffrey Xiao announced yesterday highlights the R&D priorities we will invest in over the next few years. In particular, one of the roadmap's priority areas is the use of autonomous technology at our port terminals. This represents the next frontier, and Singapore is an ideal test bed as one of the busiest ports in the world. We'll be studying the use of autonomous vessels for various purposes. First, container operations. Singapore will be launching a call for design proposals for an autonomous inter-gateway container feeder, a vessel that transfers containers between terminals. we are also studying the use of remote operations for LNG bunkering. MPA is supporting a joint industry project between DNV, Equatorial Marine Fuel Management Services, and the Singapore Institute of Technology, or SIT. These two initiatives will explore remote and autonomous technologies, real-time monitoring, and remote vessel operations, allowing us to establish new operational frameworks. New technologies such as autonomy promise significant productivity gains. However, in the interconnected digital landscape, we are only as strong as our weakest link, whether in security or capability. We must safeguard our digital infrastructure and ensure that the entire ecosystem is well positioned to harness these technologies. This is why Singapore signed 2 MOUs yesterday. First, with the Singapore Shipping Association, or SSA, to accelerate AI adoption across the industry, providing targeted support for our SMEs. Second, with the Hamburg Port Authority and leading universities from both Singapore and Germany today. As major hub ports, Singapore and Hamburg face challenges with sophisticated cyber threats that target large-scale port operations. This partnership enables us to share expertise and develop more robust cybersecurity defenses. These MOUs underscore Singapore's approach to digitalization to capture benefits for the entire ecosystem and transform the industry in a reliable as well as secure manner. As decarbonization and digitalization revolutionize the industry, they also transform maritime jobs. Hence, our final focus of today, people. I mentioned the automation of Tuas Port earlier. Not only did it transform operations, but it also changed the nature of jobs within the port. Previously, to control one crane, operators toiled in cabins more than 100 meters above the ground. Now, one crane operator controls several cranes within the comfort of air-conditioned rooms. The once labor-intensive role now demands digital skills complemented by physical dexterity. The transformation of maritime jobs does not just introduce new roles, it brings better opportunities. With crane operation evolving, it has become more accessible to the wider workforce, including women, and promises more advancement opportunities. We are launching a suite of courses to train our people to take on both new and evolving roles. First, courses for emerging skill sets. Cybersecurity, as I described just now, is a prime example. This is why we are jointly launching the Cybersecurity for Maritime Operational Technology, or OT, program with our local universities and SSA. Starting this year, the program will equip 70 IT professionals annually with skills to respond to cybersecurity threats in modern shipboard environments. Second, we will equip mid-careerists looking to transition into the sector or move within it, from seafaring to shore-based roles. I recently met Captain Teng Hong Wei, I think the photo is over there, a vessel manager at K Marine Ship Management. His role requires interdisciplinary skills, managing the technical, operational, and safety aspects of a fleet. Unlike traditional vessel managers or superintendents who possess at least 10 to 12 years of technical expertise and seagoing experience, Captain Tang took an unconventional pathway. His background was in engineering, and he had no prior seafaring experience. He bridged the gap between onshore skills and seafaring expertise through hard work and rigorous training, picking up vessel management skills, including for vessels that operate on alternative fuels. This year marks Captain Tang's 5th year as a vessel manager and is now an accomplished marine superintendent. He's even involved in ammonia bunkering vessel projects. I'm inspired by Captain Tang's trailblazing journey. He shows us what is possible with the right training at the right time and, of course, with the right attitude too. But we cannot leave such potential to chance. That's why MPA and the Singapore Maritime Foundation are partnering DNV and the Singapore Institute of Technology to develop a postgraduate vessel management program that will enable engineering graduates to pursue careers as superintendents. This program creates a streamlined pathway for engineering graduates to transition into superintendent roles, shortening the training timeline from 10 to 12 years to 2 to 6 years. In August this year, the Singapore Management University will also launch the Industry Graduate Diploma in Maritime. This course equips mid-careerists, including those from outside the sector, with essential technical and operational knowledge, as well as business acumen and leadership capabilities. Singapore's efforts in developing people goes beyond our shores. I'm pleased to announce that MPA will be signing a new MOU with the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, or UNCTAD, to share our operational experience as a global hub port with international maritime community. As a start, we will co-develop a program on energy transition in ports targeted at port leaders, seafarers, and officials from developing countries. In closing, we should remain anchored on our longer-term priorities, even in the face of emerging challenges, to press ahead with decarbonization, to prepare the industry and workforce for digitalization, and to continue investing in our people. It is in meetings like these that we can continue to keep our eyes on the far horizon, to work on long-term issues that affect the planet and our people, even as we deal with choppy seas day to day. In today's world, where the price of travel is ever higher and not to be counted only in dollars and cents, I would like to stress that the value and the privilege that we have today to still cross borders and high mountains to meet in person in this room. Singapore looks forward to collaborations with like-minded partners to strengthen maritime capabilities and port resilience worldwide. May we all find the meetings of minds and the strength of resolution we need to keep our seas open, our planet green, and our peoples at peace. With that, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Murali.